3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the battlefield. Welcome to the war.
For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power.
Our communities will flourish. Our people will be prosperous. Our traditions will be cherished. Our faith will be strong. And our future will be brighter than ever before.
But I got you. Let me play this video.
And this happens like so frequently that now we finally have a law that they're passing.
He did have something in his hand that was shaped like
it was a phone.
I did see some pictures. I mean, I don't really know about
this
this
case. And why are police like so scared of black people? There are people who got shoot up schools. They're like people who shoot up schools and they get them alive. But a person, we hear somebody breaking in windows in the car, breaking into cars, and we assume, it's black, let's shoot his ass.
I'm not going to argue against that.
You can't argue against it.
Okay,
it's
I can. And a lot of these black individuals who are getting shot are criminals themselves, are caught running from the cops. And you could say,
was Stephen Clark
maybe they've
running from the cops? Was he at fault?
You could say that
he shot 20 times in the back, and apparently he must have been at fault then, right?
I believe that's an outlier statistic.
Well, I mean, what about Eric Garner? What about Eric Garner? Freddie Gray? Trayvon Martin,
a lot of these
Michael
guys,
Brown.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. It's much better now than it was before.
But that's a poor argument.
Society is changing, and Black Lives Matter is pushing this button and saying America's racist, and you have to stand up and you have to fight it, or everyone's going to die. That's not the truth. America is not extremely racist. I'm not pro Black Lives Matter because I don't believe it helps me or my family or my black brothers and sisters. I don't believe Black Lives Matter is doing good. I believe they've turned into a terrorist organization. A lot of people will get offended if they say, well, you're this color, you're brown, you're black, you should be thinking this way. I don't think the way you expect me to think.
Conservation, infosystems, building care, healthcare, beauty care, fashion wear, color flair. The people with the right chemistry.
This place is up. And they were like, yeah, the United States, your racial problems are up. And you wanna know why? Because Black Lives Matter made it visible to everybody. It highlighted that there's a series of problems that affect specifically and especially black people.
How many black on black crime statistics have you seen? You can't even count them with your hands.
All right, first off.
Gang violence, it's much more of a problem. Much more of a problem in inner city ghettos. Health, we have overweight black Americans who are dying of diabetes. We have black Americans who are uneducated. That is keeping black people down. And listen, my mom, she raised me to say you are not a victim.
Danger excites me, but I can't fully enjoy it when I smell like fear and body odor. So I prepare myself with a manly scent of Old Spice Danger Zone.
Bro, do you know what a GDP is? Do you know what a GDP?
I know it deals with like finances and money.
It's the gross domestic product, so it means it basically sums up the production of the country or certain demographics.
Still not sure? Here's a couple reviews from real customers. Joseph S. says,
"This is the perfect bar of soap. It's like it was handcrafted in the Northwest Forest by beautiful tiny elves."
Oh, tiny elves isn't enough for you? Well, here's another review from Michael A.
Bro, we don't make up much of the GDP of this country. You know, I know they say, the weave industry is $1 billion industry. Okay, bro, that's one industry. You see what I'm saying? So you're trying to contribute, and I understand it, right? Like, you're trying to say, yes, black people are making a big contribution. Yeah, we're making a contribution, but I think you're overstating it.
Because even if something bad does happen to a Danger Zone man, it won't smell like something bad happened. Because the secret to smelling good is...
God doesn't make mistakes. Every religion believes that. Everybody. God does not make mistakes.
Black people hate all white people, and it's rooted in jealousy.
Yeah.
Okay, it's rooted in jealousy, which is something that's going to be very hard to like. There's really no cure for jealousy, especially when the person keeps doing the thing. Like,
I say God does not make mistakes.
okay, black people don't like the fact that white people have the traits they have. Yes, white people have a lot of negative traits, but white people are productive. They're industrious, and regardless, if you put white people anywhere, they're gonna produce things and they're gonna create industry. We're everywhere. That's just what they do, and black people are very jealous of that because we mostly destroy things. Or if the most we can do is to like I talked about with hip hop, we can take things and we can be creative and jig it up and finesse it or whatever. But we don't innovate. So with like the glacier gliders do. Glacier gliders innovate, they strategize, they we just don't do those things, and we're not good at those things. So it's just like we're always going to have that jealousy, and we're always going to be stuck in that jealous state, and we're like your best friend that's jealous of you.
Who's more racist, black people or white people? Black people. You know why? Because we hate black people too.
So it's just like we're always going to have that jealousy, and we're always going to be stuck in that jealous state, and we're like your best friend.
Everything white people don't like about black people really don't like about black people. There's some shit going on with black people right now.
And it's like, I want y'all to know that I'm not here caping for white people. I'm not here like praising white people. I'm just opening my eyes and looking.
I'm sometimes accused of being too ready to take notice of what newspapers like the Daily Mail and the Telegraph have to say about foreigners and immigrants and their propensity towards various offences. A quick look at the latest report on UK prison population statistics, to be found in the House of Commons library and issued just 6 months ago, tends though to confirm my suspicions and tells us that there really are an awful lot of foreigners and black people committing serious crimes in Britain.
All right. Essentially, I feel like your perspective is missing the systemic aspect of how, like, I can feel great about being black, but like that doesn't change how the society will treat me. There's lots of situations where it's like clear that our system is clearly prejudiced against black people. The over-representation of black people in prisons, we make up like so much of the prison population.
That's true.
And that's not like, that shouldn't be the case. And we get punished for like the same crimes more harshly than white people do.
The East Asians, yeah, they're crowds and tigers. I mean, it is what it is. Look, those people are the same everywhere they go. If you look at the Asian populations in Jamaica, the Asian neighborhoods in Jamaica, they have very little crime. You look at the Asian neighborhoods in Trinidad, very little crime. You look at the Asian neighborhoods in America, extremely little crime. And I'm talking about because it's a first world country. You look at Japan, the safest country in the world. You look at China, very little crime. So they also have the same attributes everywhere they go when you're talking about that. Then you look at their achievements. They achieve the same things everywhere they go. They do the jobs. They do the technology jobs. They do the the info systems, the IT.
All these things were invented and produced by European ingenuity and intellectual ability. By this, of course, I mean white civilization. The white culture which sprang up in Europe and then spread to America, where it also flourished and became even more powerful, producing all the things which are so vital to our lives today.
Like Black Lives Matter is like, oh yeah, we're in trouble, we're hurt, so let's just be angry about it instead of doing something about it.
Anger gets done.
You don't have to be angry, Martin.
But anyway, what can we learn from the report of UK prison population statistics? The first thing we note is that roughly a sixth of those held in our prisons are foreign nationals, which is itself a rather startling discovery.
Some people achieve a lot of things. Some people are very, very, very good at athletics. They're very, very good at things that involve charisma and speaking and conveying a message. And like a Sun man could have a 55 IQ and you wouldn't fucking know it. They didn't invent those things. Those things were already patented. Those are just lies. The Sun man didn't invent the stoplight. The stoplight was invented in England years before Garrett A. Morgan was attributed to inventing it. He made a improvement on the stoplight, but he didn't invent the stoplight.
The mathematics and science which underpins all this is also a product of European thought. The indigenous inhabitants of Australia did not invent television or radio, and nor did those living in sub-Saharan Africa come up with ideas like calculus or the theory of relativity. The modern world was built by white people, and although Indians and Chinese people have proved very good at copying and developing European inventions, we know that they would never have come up by themselves with the internal combustion engine, cars, aeroplanes, space rockets or even steam engines. It is of course not fashionable to speak in this way and celebrate the achievements of white intellect or white culture, but without it we would still be stuck in the Dark Ages.
But this whole thing that black people invented this and black people, there are few inventions black people did do. Like,
man, get the fuck out of here, bro. You sound like a coon, bro.
Right.
You sound like a coon, bro.
That's fine, but
you sound like a coon, bro.
Hold on, listen. One thing that if you look at a lot of the inventions that are attributed to black people, if you go back and look in the patent, there was already a patent for it before. A lot of that stuff is lies.
Casting around the world and looking for important things in our civilization which did not have their origins in the ingenuity of white people, we find ourselves at something of a loss. Did Aboriginal Australians ever think of inventing the wheel? Did any black culture think of this, the simplest of inventions and the beginning of our civilization? Is there any evidence of even the simplest machinery in sub-Saharan Africa before the arrival of white Europeans? I spoke earlier today about the absurd notion of decolonising mathematics and trying to insert black people into the subject. This is a fool's errand because no black mathematicians have come up with original ideas in the subject. The Chinese and Egyptians in ancient times had a rudimentary understanding of things such as calculating pi and so on, but that's about the limit of it. Mathematics, which entails discovering the rules which lie behind the structure of the universe, is a white enterprise. Some Indians and Arabs have certainly picked up what has been achieved by white Europeans in the subject and made discoveries of their own, but they have only been able to do so because white people did all the legwork to lay the foundations of mathematical theory. I invite viewers to look out into the street now and observe the motor vehicles passing by. Perhaps they can also see satellite dishes or telegraph posts carrying wires. Certainly they can see buildings of more than one story. Even buildings with an upstairs were beyond the wit of those living in Australia or sub-Saharan Africa to construct. Why should this be the case? Apart from foreigners, about 1 in 6 British prisoners is black. Many of these people are in prison for savage crimes involving edged weapons. Nobody really knows why black people in Britain are so fond of hacking each other up and stabbing people, but it is a definite thing. Knives are popular for this, but machetes are also commonly used. Viewers might have seen a court case which is currently being reported in the British newspapers and about an attack on a random stranger on a tube train last year. He supposedly inflicted some terrible injuries on his victim, almost cutting off a hand and injuring the man's head. The fellow who is supposed to be responsible for this claims that he is insane, which may well be true. Of course, machetes were being used quite a bit in central London last summer, around that time anyway, and I'm sure that not all those waving them about were clinically insane. The attack I just mentioned took place in July 2021. In the previous month there were 2 gang fights, one in Hyde Park and the other in Greenwich, in which groups of black people went mad with machetes.
I think what AkNation is trying to say is, is that there are genetic differences and those have consequences. And then it is what it is.
So if we have all these genetic differences, right? No, but listen, if we have all these genetic differences all across the board, right? My arms is long, my third leg is big. You know what I'm saying? Everything is
there's no Asian NFL players, okay?
Right. So here's the thing. Would the brain be identical?
Yeah.
Would the brains in all these different groups be identical?
Absolutely not.
I would say this. I would say this.
That's a great point.
I would say this.
Great point.
Look at the difference between blacks who attend charter schools and given the opportunity to get that better education versus blacks who, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
I got you. What I'm saying, but here's the thing. Hold on, LA Thorne. Here's the thing, though. All that stuff is fine and good, but when they give the test.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been performing a task? It was going perfect, and you took a rest?
When they give the standardized test or the SAT test or the IQ test, those kids still score the same thing as the other kids.
Also, they get into schools easier. Like Hoppa and I would get into we have to have higher standards to get into Harvard.
What you're trying to do is it's tantamount to putting Chinese people in the NFL. It's never going to work.
Listen. No matter how many Chinese people you put in the NFL, right? They're still going to perform the same way. You can put them in the NFL.
They're going to get stomped by the Sun people.
Right, and you can keep them. You can put them on a contract where they can't get cut. You can tell the team, you can't cut this guy. No matter how bad he plays, he's still going to perform the way he performs, even if you can't cut him.
God don't make no mistakes? That's okay. That's a pretty ambitious thing to say. No mistakes? You ever read the Bible? What does the Bible say? It's black people and there's niggas. And what does the Bible say? And niggas have got to go. Every time black people want to have a good time, ignorant ass niggas fuck it up.
When the activity of those who oppose the establishment becomes articulated, it will be in forms, methods, and ideas that are totally unknown, incomprehensible, and unacceptable to members of the establishment.
He was really angry. He was just really good at not showing the most of the time.
He was outspoken and he was strong.
Did you read the Birmingham letters?
Strength
that was
than anger.
Once a parallel society is sufficiently established, a society is no longer under the same grave danger as when it relies solely on the structures and institutions that are appendages of the tyrannical state.
The way you convey your anger may be different. I'll give you that. You might convey your anger a little bit different than I do.
Anger is not a bad emotion, but the way you convey it is everything.
Has that ever happened in your life? No! That has never fucking happened to you. What was happened to you was you were performing a task, you fucked up, and you thought, let me rest before I fuck this up some more.
The goal is for inclusivity. They're about dealing with situations with loving consideration. It may not seem that way from the outside, but if you understand the injustices that are being enacted upon the black community, you can't blame people for being upset.
God doesn't make mistakes. Hush your mouth.
If you were screwed over and like somebody stole your wallet or something, you're not gonna be like, could I please have my wallet back? No, you're gonna be like, give me my wallet back, right?
God made plenty of mistakes. You ever see a porcupine? Can't go to a movie the first week and come out. Why? Because niggas are shooting at the screen. What kind of ignorant shit is that?
Jamie Foxx would show up in the sheriff's hat.
It's a good movie. That's so good, I gotta bust a cap in here.
It was a trans man.
Hey, I love black people, but I hate niggas.
Was that Will Smith?
Even in that environment, the wheat gets separated from the chaff. Like the black kids is the ones that is gonna play. Now you notice. Now here's the thing. This will tell you about it. It's just we talking about football. Yeah. Look at the quarterback position. The one position that's unique to all sports. The quarterback position, right?
Right.
The quarterback position. We've had 56 Super Bowls. I think we're up to 56 or something this year. Black quarterbacks, not talking about mixed like Patrick Mahomes. I'm talking about blackity black quarterback like me. Have won 2 of them. Okay? 2 of the 56.
They've won 2
Super
out of
Bowls.
56.
Okay, so.
Can't eat it, can't hug it. It's ugly, sticky, shitting all over the place. Mistake.
What about and here's the thing. All the black quarterbacks play this position completely different than the white quarterbacks. Like the white quarterbacks and the black quarterbacks, they don't even play the same. Like none of them. The only one, even the one who's mixed, Mahomes, he still plays different than the white guys because he's mixed. He has a little bit different. He's not totally like them. He's more like the black guys. Okay, so
won't you attribute that to individuality?
Our brains are different. Our brains are different. It's not just our physical features that are different. Our brains are also different.
Oh, I ain't nigga. Boy, I wish they let me join the Ku Klux Klan. Shit, I do a drive-by from here to Brooklyn. Tired of niggas, man.
Like if I want a quarterback, right? If I have a quarterback, if I have one game to play for $1 million, you're going to give me $1 million if I win this. If I win this game, I want my quarterback to be white.
You ever been to Mississippi? Mistake. M-I-S-S-T-A-K-E.
This is like major progress. It's highlighting a problem that needs to be addressed, and they're empowering people to be involved. So yeah, that's all I gotta say.
What about quicksand? Sand, you can drown it. You can drown dry. You think God meant to make quicksand? Mistake.
And that's not wrong. Now also if you look at it like this, let's take it to basketball. If you give me basketball and you tell me you have one game for $1 million, I want my point guard to be black.
What I'm gonna say is like you look at Yao Ming, right? He's okay. He's a pretty good basketball player. He's a Chinese guy. That guy's the exception. Most Chinese people aren't going to do too well in basketball. Let's be honest.
That guy's the exception. Or they would already be there. Because here's the thing too, you would be there in this world, like in the world we live in now. You would be there. Like if there were 300 really top Chinese basketball players, they would be in the NBA.
Yeah.
Because these things are about money and winning and success and everything's capitalism driven. Yeah. So like the fact that people are where they are for a reason. Like for instance, when we talk about kindergarten teachers, right? Most of them are women, right? Most kindergarten teachers are women, right?
That's right. Yeah.
But that's not because the bias against men it's because that's the role that they could be very successful at.
Unless we are able to explain the fact that white European civilization has created the world in which we live, then there is no point even talking of decolonizing this or that subject at a university. If we reject Western civilization, then we are on a very dangerous path indeed, for we are in effect opposing progress and retreating into a fantasy world. We can certainly pretend that black cultures have contributed as much as white European culture to the development of the world, but it is of course sheer nonsense. Abandoning belief and faith in white intellect and white ingenuity will mean turning our back on future scientific progress, because only European mathematicians, scientists and inventors are in a position to provide us with new things and new ideas. If we reject that, then we really will be on the cusp of a new dark age where our progress slows and then either stagnates or even goes into reverse. It is a chilling prospect. .3% of the population in this country are black, and yet they make up 13% of prisoners. In other words, 4 times as many as you would expect given their numbers in the general population. Altogether, almost a third of people in British prisons, about 28%, are not white. This does suggest that there is a correlation of some kind between skin colour and crime.
You can't have shit when you're around niggas. You can't have shit. You can't have no big screen TV. You can have it, but you better move it in at 3 in the morning. Painted white, hope niggas think it's a bassinet. Can't have shit in your house. Why? Because niggas will break in your house. Niggas will break in your house. Niggas will live next door to you, break in your house, and come over the next day and go, I heard you got robbed. Fucking kidding me? Just a big hunk of racist dirt. Fucking Mississippi. I was there a couple of months ago.
Couldn't even tell what year it was. That's how fucked up and ghetto that shit was. Like, god damn. You know what Mississippi's like?
Nigga, you know you robbed me. You ain't hear shit because you was doing shit. Tired of niggas. Tired of niggas, man. Damn, man. You know what the worst thing? You know, like when you go to the Caribbean? You know, like when you go to the Caribbean, you land and you get in that van, that drive, that scary ass drive.
I don't believe Black Lives Matter has done the good things that you're telling me they've done. I believe that it's done more to push racism down our throats.
Conservation. Infosystems. Building care. Healthcare. Beauty care. Fashion wear. Color flair.
Why is it that all these things have had to be invented in Europe and then taken to Africa and Australia rather than the other way round? As I say, these are unfashionable questions, but unless we ask them, then we are liable to fall into grave error It is because some black people seem so very keen on violence that so many of them are in prison, of course. I won't repeat what we all know, that hacking other people with machetes and knives is a popular pastime for certain visible minorities, because that's not the only thing which lands people in prison. Violent crime of all kinds tends to be more common among foreigners and immigrants than it is among white British people, and has the effect of making parts of our cities like war zones. Robbery from the person, which is sometimes known as mugging, is also far more commonly committed by black people than any other ethnicity. We all know that Britain is more violent than it was in the 1950s, say, at a time when bombings, fights between machete-wielding gangs and stabbing rampages were all unknown. Is there a direct link between the increasing violence and immigration? Or is it just that the world is generally a more aggressive place, and even if the population of Britain was still entirely white and British, levels of crime would be higher these days? The fact that very few white people set off bombs or charge around stabbing half a dozen people at a time does rather suggest that there is more to it than just a general change in crime rates. That violent crime has risen among all ethnic groups is true, but it does seem from the figures that some groups are still more likely to resort to violence than others.
Let me ask you a question. How many people here believe that white people are superior?
In some things, yes.
In some things, yes. In some things, no.
Hold on.
What things are superior?
White people are better at some things, yes. And Asian people are better than white people at some things, and black people are better than white people at other things.
Everyone has a specialty.
Hold on, listen. The problem is the things that matter in this world: planning, developing infrastructure, war, medicine. The important things that matter, white people are better than black people. So yes, there are things that black people are better than white people at, but they're not the things that matter.
A generation ahead.
So love me now. So love me now.